Hello everyone. May I know if my voice is audible to you all? Hi everyone. Great, thank you. Okay, so yeah, I got to know that I'm audible and visible. I hope you all are doing well. Yeah, okay, great. So let's start with today's class, right? So in today's section, in today's lecture, we are going to start with we are going to continue with some of the more coding practice questions, as you guys have commented and said that you need part 2, and yeah, here I am with few more questions. Okay, so let's start with the first question here, that is leaders in array. Right, so let's go through the question, that what the question says, like what is the problem statement, then we'll see that what is the input format, output format, and then we are going to continue, right? So the first question is leaders in array, right? The problem statement says that you are given with an array integers, right? So the integers array will be given to you, and you have to print all the leaders in the array, right? Now, what is the meaning of leader? Let's try to understand that. So an element is said to be a leader if it is greater than or equals to the elements to its right, right? So okay, so who is the leader element in an array is given as that any element that is greater than or equal to the element to its right, that particular element is said to be an like a leader in an array, right? So the rightmost element will always be a leader. Okay, so if I take example of this, so let's assume that this is my example that is containing of elements like 16, 17, 4, 3, 5 and 2, right? And now here you have to find all the leader elements. So what it says, leader elements are those which are greater than and equals to all the elements in the right side. So here what we are going to do is we are going to start with the rightmost side, right? And what we are going to do here is, as they have already told us that rightmost element is always a leader, right? So the rightmost element, because obviously on the right side of 2, if I say is there any element for on the right side of 2 to compare, no, right? So what is going to happen, we can say that 2 is an actual leader, like 2 is 2 is leader element in that particular array for now, right? So we can assume that 2 is one of the leaders. Right now what I have to do is we have to move to the next element. Next element is 5. Now again we have to see that if all the elements on the right side of 5, if they are lesser than 5, means 5 is greater than all of the right side elements, it means 5 is also considered as leader. And if you see 5 has 2 on the right side, right, right, and then we can say that 5 is the leader of this particular array. So 5 is also considered as one of the leader in an array, right? Now next we move to the next element, that is 3. So we have 3. Now 3 also is also a leader. So what we have to do is we have to check whatever, see, the last element that we got 5 is actually the maximum element out of the out of all the right side elements, right? So it means we can say that whatever the elements we have right on the right side, 5 is one of the largest element till now, right? So what we have to do is we have to simply compare 3 with 5. If 3 is greater than 5, then we can say that 3 is a leader element. But if 3 is not a leader, if 3 is not greater than 5 or equals to 5, we say that this is not a leader element. And as we see that 3 is not greater than 5, so we can say that 3 is not a leader element. So we can move ahead to the next element. Next element is 4. Now again, up till now 5 is still the leader element, right? If there is any number that is greater than 5, will become the next leader. So again, 4 is less than 5, so we can say 4 is not a leader. Now when we go to the next element, that is 17, right? Okay, so if the next element is 17, and again we have to compare it with 5, is 17 greater than 5? Yes, it is greater than 5. So what we can say that leader is an, sorry, 17 is the next leader. So in my list of leaders, 17 is going to be added, right? Now next element is 16. Again, is my 16 greater than 17? So no, 16 is not greater than 17. So what we can say that no, 16 is not a leader. So we can say that 17, 50, 17, 5 and 2. These are the three elements. These are the three leader elements in this particular given array. Okay. I hope this is clear. Any doubts in understanding the question? Okay, so once we have understood the problem statement, let's now move towards the input format. So what is input format says? The first line contains the integer n that represents the size of an array, right? So the first input will be one integer that will be given to you, that is the size of the array, and the second will be n space separated integers, right? So what is going to happen? In the next line, all the elements that you will be getting for an array, it will be space separated integers. And in the last in one of the videos that I had earlier, I had already told you how to take space separated input, right? Then after the inputs, we have to take the inputs, we have to apply the logic, right? We have to write the whole code. And what should be the output format? We have to print all the leaders in the array in the order they appear, right? So this is very important, which is written that we have to print all the leaders, right? And second is they should be ordered, right? They should be ordered in the same way they are appearing in the particular array, right? The next are the constraint points, that the size of the n, that is the size of the array, which will be somewhere between 1 to 10 raised to the power 5, and the array element that you will be having can be anything ranging from negative 10 raised to the power 9 to 10 raised to the power 9. Okay, now let's move on to the sample input 1. In sample input 1, you can see there are two things given to you: n, that refers to the array size, and then we have an actual array that is space separated, right? And once we do all the application, once we do dry run, you will be able to understand exactly what is happening. But I have already told you what this problem is doing, right? And the next is sample output. So this is the output that you will be getting, right? Here I have put the explanation as well, the same explanation which I explained you right now, like, right? Same explanation is written over here. That is, from you have to traverse from right to left. Why we are traversing from right to left? This is very important, that because they are saying that leader element will always be those elements that are greater than or equals to the elements to the right, and they have already told you that rightmost element is always a leader. So it is always a good thing that you start from the right hand side and you can go ahead till the leftmost element, right? This is output 2, where you have 5 as a size of an array, and then you have an array given to you, and this is a kind of sample input. So let's take this one only for the dry run, and this there here we have the code, right? So let's take this particular array. So you are given with n, that is 5, and you are given with uh 7, 10, 4, 10, 6. Okay, so someone is saying that can you explain me one, can you explain once more, so you can understand the question when while I'll be telling you the code now, then also you'll be able to understand. right? So what is going to happen, we have to take the input array, input of the number. So here we take n is equals to int input dot strip. Now again, I have already told you many times that strip is again a function that is much applicable when you are taking the string input, right? You can use strip function in taking the input of the integers as well, that is also fine. But for now you can skip it, that is also like, this is a kind of optional thing which you can do. But for string inputs, I'll prefer using the strip function, right? So basically it can be also written as n is equals to int input, right? So once you take the input, so input that is given to us, let's assume this is 5, then you have to take space separated array. So you have to do, right? Some of you are actually telling me the answer like the proper way. So it's list map int input dot split. So this is how you will get your array. So let's assume if the array is given as 7, 10, 4, 10, 6, right? So let's take that only, 7, 10, 4, 10, and 6. Okay. Now here what we are doing is we are creating one result variable in which we are calling the function. Now again, this is very important that there could be two ways of writing the code. Either you use functions or you don't use functions. So if you are using the functions, you can do in the same way. I am showing the code to you, right? And if you don't want to use functions, you can continue like whatever the logic I have kept in this particular functional body, you can directly put it after the after taking the inputs, right? So that is also fine. Now we are calling the function, and in the function we are passing this array. Now let's continue with this. Let's come to this functional body and let's try to understand how it is working. So basically what is going to happen is, here what we need to do is we need to find the leader elements. Okay, and what is the array given to us? That is 7, 10, 4, 10, and 6. And they have already told you that rightmost element will always be a leader. So we can assume that 6 will always be a leader. And because we need to find leader element, and leader element are those elements that are greater than or equals to the all the right elements, right? So that is why we can start traversal with the right side, right, with the back from the back. So what we are doing is we are taking n is equals to len of array, right? Or you can just pass that particular n as well, that is also fine. So you see, for one thing there could be multiple options to do, right? You can directly pass n and you can take it here, right? Or you can just take n variable and take the length of array. Now here I have created one empty list for leaders where I will be storing all my leaders that I'll be getting. Okay, so there is this one leaders list that I have created. Let's create one list over here. Now what we are doing is max from right? So we have taken one element there we will be storing. Every time whatever will be the maximum element that we are getting, we will be storing it, right? But for now we can assume that the last element of the array, which is the rightmost element, is the largest, right? So what we did is, in my max from right variable, I stored array of -1. Now array of -1 is what? This particular value 6. So we can assume that max from right, I'm writing it as mfr. Okay, I'm taking 6 as the first max from right. Okay, now what we are going to do is, we already know that rightmost element is leader. So in my leaders list, I'm going to append this max from right. So what we are doing here is leaders dot append max from right. So 6 is going to be appended in the leaders list. Now once this is done, we have to start our traversal, right? And now you see we have already taken the last element, right? We have already worked on the last element. So what we have to do is we have to make it work on the start the traversal from the last second element. Now what you have to do is, for I in range, okay, now you have to start from second last element. So you have to write the starting number as n minus 2. Okay, now n minus 2 comma -1 comma -1, this is what? This is the end point. And if you remember, when you use range function, the end point should be always one extra. So if you want to go from last second element, which is n minus 2, to 0, you have to write -1. Then only it will run till 0, right? So that is why we written n minus 2 comma -1, and this comma -1 represents number of steps, right? So because here we are doing back traversal, so we have to do -1. So we will be going one step back. Okay, I guess range is clear. Now let's start with the very first loop. In first loop, my I value is going to be what? N minus 2, and N minus 2 is what? 10, right? This is it. Here I is equals to what? N minus 2, and N is what? N is 5 here, right? So 5 minus 2 is 3. So we are starting with the third element, that is the second last element. Now if arrow of I, now arrow of I is what? Arrow of 3 is what? 10. Is my 10 greater than, equals to max from right, which is 6? Is this true? Yes, this is true, right? And because we are true, what we have to do is we have to update our max from right. So max from right will become array of I. So now new MFR will become what? It will become 10. Now once that is done, because that is a true condition, that is a condition that we want, we found the leader, so we have to append that leader inside our leaders list. So what we are doing is, inside my leaders list, I'm going to append this arrow of I. Okay, now what is arrow of I? That is 10. So 10 is going to be appended in here. Okay, why can't we start iterating from n minus 1? See, why you will why you will do iteration from n minus 1? You have already considered na last element to be the leader element. They have already told you in the question that the rightmost element will always be a leader, right? See this line, it says the rightmost element is always a leader. So what you did is, you started with the last element, you took the last element and you put it in a variable called max variable, right? Now because you are sure that 6 is always a leader, so 6 will always be a leader, so you appended that 6. Now once you have started it, once you are starting with the for loop traversal, you don't need to traverse 6. That is just an extra loop you will be doing, right? So you can start directly from n minus 2. Okay, now once that is done, what I have to do is I have to move to the second loop. Now when we will be moving to the second loop, we'll go one step back. One step back means I will move to 2, right? Now once that is done, what I have to do is I have to compare the element, that is 4. Is 4 greater than equals to the maximum value that we got till now, that is 10? Is this condition true? No, the condition is false. So because the condition is false, you see nothing is going to work for these two lines, and we'll go out and move to the next for loop. Now when we'll move to the next for loop, that is third loop, what we have to do is I will move to 1, and again what is the value at 1? That is 10, right? Is my 10 greater than equals to 10? Is the condition true? Yes, the condition is true. So what I have to do is, again we can say this new 10 is again a leader. And right, and here you don't need to confuse yourself that 10 is already there and 10 we have already put in the leaders list. Do we need to add the second 10 as well? Yes, because nothing is written. Because if there is something that they want to specify, they will specify in the question. If they are not specifying in any question, you don't have to use your own brain and do the things, right? Just keep it simple, normal. What they want, just give it to them. That's it, right? So because 10, this new 10, the second value 10 is greater than equals to the maximum from right. So what is going to happen? Will go inside this particular if condition, and max from right will be updated with the new value 10, right? Now once that is done, in my leaders list I have to append this 10. So 10 is going to append in here. Now once that is done, we'll move to the fourth loop, that is I is equals to 0. Now once that is done, what I have to do is, the element that is at 0 is 7. Is my 7 greater than equals to 10? No, the condition is false, right? Because the condition is false, what we have to do is, we have to again, none of the conditions are going to work. So we'll move to next loop, but in the next loop, you see nothing is going to work. So loop will stop there. Now because the loop has stopped, nothing is left. We have to come to this particular line. And now there is one thing which you need to understand. Right now, if you see the leaders list, it is not in a proper format. Like what they have told you, they have told you to print all the leaders in an array in the order they appear, right? And if you see the actual array, in the actual array 10 comes first, then second 10 comes second, and then third is 6. And right now the leaders array that I am having is like kind of reversed to what I want. So what I'll be doing is, when I'll be returning the leaders list, I'll be returning the reversed list. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll return leaders of, and then I guess most of you already know this is just slicing concept, where we return all the whole list starting from end, and -1 represents that you have to do the reverse of it. So leaders list, which is 6 10 10, it is going to be reversed, so it will become 10 10 6, and this is something that will be returned. Okay, now once this is returned, what is going to happen? If you remember, you called this whole function in a result variable, right? So this thing is going to store in your result variable. Now once it is stored, what you have to do is, you have to see that thing that they have told you that you have to print all the leaders in the order they appear. And if you see in the sample outputs, sometimes they don't say that the output should be space separated or it should be normal list formatted. They don't tell you. So sample outputs and inputs help you. In sample output, you can see the output they have sent you is also space separated, right? Now because this is space separated, so it means you also have to return it space separated. So in your result, what you have right now, it is a list which consists of 3 elements, 10 10 6, and now I have to return it in a space separated format. So what I'll do is, the easiest way to do is put a star and then pass your variable, and the whole thing will go inside the print statement. What this star does, the star is just for unzipping any kind of collection. Okay, list is also a collection. So what is going to happen, whatever the elements that you have, they are all the brackets, all the commas, all the other things are going to be removed, and you will be getting purely the answer that you are having, that is 10 10 6. And the main important thing is, all of them automatically is going to be in a space separated format. Okay, these underscore represent space separations. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, someone is asking what is the difference between print and return. So see, return, generally what happens is, functions, there could be chances that function doesn't provides you the proper output in the way you want, right? So it's better, whenever you are using function, through function you return whatever the output you are getting, and then in your main body of your Python, like, you can actually store it somewhere, and then you can print it, right? Generally keep your function as a functional body only. Don't use it to directly display your uh, outputs. Without function, yes, I have already explained you that it's your choice. Either you can use functions, or you cannot use you don't want to use functions, you can leave it, right? Then what you have to do is, you will be using this n input, then array input, then you don't need these two lines. You have to write all these logical lines right after your inputs, and then in the end you will be having your printing statements. That's it. What is strip function? Strip function is basically generally used in strings. So what happens is, for example, let's assume they send you the input as apple, but let's assume that what they did is, the apple string that they send you is with some trailing spaces, or maybe there are some spaces before it. So it will affect your actual output when you will be using this particular input in your logic. It can give you problems, right? So strip function, what it does is, it removes all the trailing spaces as well as all the spaces that you have before, right? And you will be having your pure proper string, that is apple. It is just a cleaning process, you can think of it like that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, functions, test cases doesn't depends on function. If you are writing the function or you are not writing the function, it doesn't depends on it. It depends on you are taking all the edge cases properly or not. And I have already told you, think as much as you can. Okay, see, when you are, before writing the code, it's very important that you think, first of all, it's very important to read the question, because there are many small things that we sometimes like kind of, we don't focus on those things and we just skip those things, and that becomes the most the biggest mistake for us, right? So it is very important that you understand the question, you read question very properly. Second is, then once you have read the question properly, it's about mapping it in your mind, that you are understanding every point of it. Then you have to write the logic, right? So think about the best possible solution you can think at that time, right? Again, it needs not to be very optimal, right? If you're not able to think about the most optimal solution, that is fine. Whatever the approach you are having in your mind, it should work, right? It should work. You should start writing it, and try to include all the edge cases you can think of at that time. Once you are done with it, try to run the code, try to see what all test cases are getting passed. If few of the test cases are not passing, let's say 2 or 3 test cases are not passing, try to think of what all are the other edge cases that can be possible, right? This is the only way how you can do it. And obviously it comes with the practice, so practice is very important, right? Okay, now let's move on to the next question, right? It's very important to move to the next question. So the next question is longest substring without repeating characters. So what you have to do is you have to find the longest substring without repeating characters. So here the question is based on string. So let's try to read the problem statement. Problem statement says, given a string. So you are given with a string S. You have to find the length of the longest substring without repeating characters. So you will be given one string and you have to find the length. So it means there is only one output that they are asking for, that is the length, right? You have to find the length of the longest substring that you can make, which is having no repeating characters. Okay, a substring is a contiguous sequence of characters within a string. Okay, now what is the input? Input is a single string S, and the output will be print a single integer representing the length of the longest substring without repeating characters. The constants are given to you that the length of S would be somewhere from 1 to 10 raised to the power 5, and the string contains printable ASCII characters. Okay, so I guess question is pretty simple. Guys, I request you, let's do one thing. Okay, let's like first of all focus on understanding the questions, because what you want is having a good practice on the questions, right? And here that is why I'm here. So let's first focus on understanding the question. If you have doubts related to the questions, you can ask me that. In the last 10 minutes we will be taking the questions that you have related to maybe test cases or something else, right? So let's focus on this first. I hope this is clear. If there is any doubt, you can ask me. Now let's talk about the sample input. Now in sample input, you see one string is given to you. So it's what? It's A, B, C, A, B, C, B, B, right? So this is the string given to you. Now what you have to do is you have to find the longest substring without repeating characters. So let's try to understand it first, how it is going to work. So what I'll assume is, I'll assume that, okay, let's start with the first character, 1, the first character, that is A, right? So what I did is, I considered first character A, and I see that in this, because this is also a substring, right? This is also a substring. Now let's have one variable named as length. Okay, I initialized at 0 earlier. Now when I have one substring that is consisting of the first letter A, what I did is, I see that this is also a substring and this is not having any repeating characters. So it means I can increase my length to 1, because there is at least one substring of length 1 possible without repeating characters, right? Now if this is good, I have to continue. After A, what I did is I tried to take B also, so I take the second element also. So now it becomes AB, right? And AB is another substring, and it is having no repeating characters. So because it is having no repeating characters, it means again this is a safe thing to say that okay, my longest substring that I can create without repeating characters is of length 2. So I I added one value into length, right? Now once that is done, what I did is I tried taking one more element. So now it becomes ABC. Okay, now if you see, again there is no repeating character and this is a substring and it is having of length 3. Is length greater than the current one? Yes, it is greater than the current one. So we can say that okay, the max length that I can get till now is 3. Now what I did is I tried to add the fourth element, that is A. So what I did is A, B, C, and now I added one more element. Now I see this particular A is actually repeating, right? And because this is repeating, it is actually not obeying the rule that they have said that you should have non-repeating elements. So what I have to do is I can say that okay, if this A is repeating, what I'll do is I'll start removing the elements from the starting. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll remove this A. Okay, and now if I see, now the substring becomes BCA. Is it still repeating? Is it still having any repeating characters? No, it is not having any repeating characters. Is the length of this substring is greater than the current length? No, it is 3 only, right? So you don't need to update, or if you want to update as well, you can update as well. So it will also still be 3 only. Now once that is done, okay, once that is done, what you have to do is now what you will do is you will try to input the next element after this A. So now it becomes B, C, A, and the next character is B. So you will be having B in here. Now once you again check the condition is again condition is not following, because you have one extra, like one character is getting repeated, that is B. So what you will do is you will try to you'll start removing the elements from the first, like from the initial steps. Now once that is done, what you have is CAB, which is again a substring without non-repeating characters, right? And your length is again 3. So you can again make it 3 and it will be 3 only. Now once that is done, what you will be doing is you will again try to add new element. So it will be what? It will be CAB, and after B there is one more element, that is C. Again the same thing is happening. You are getting C as the repeating element. So what is going to happen? You'll remove the first element, right? You'll remove the first element. Now once that is done, what you have to do is again check the last 3 elements, check the remaining elements. So in this, what we have to do is, again this is non-repeating character, so the length will be 3, right? Same, again what you are going to do is you have A, B, C, and now you'll try to add new element, that is B. Okay, now what is going to happen? Again B is repeating, so what you have to do is you have to remove the first element. Once you remove the first element, you have BCB. But if you check the condition, again there is one element that is repeating. So again what you'll do is you'll remove the next character. Again now you will see you'll have CB as your substring. Now CB is having length 2 and it is having non-repeating character, but the length is 2, and because the length that we have currently stored is 3, which is greater than 2, so we can say that okay, for longest substring 3 is fine till now. Okay, so no need to change there. Now once that is done, we have CB. Now we'll try to add one more element, that is B. Now again if we check the condition, again the condition becomes false because there is a repeating element. So what I'll do is I'll try to remove C, but still you see the remaining substring that I have is still having 2 repeating characters. So what I'll do is I'll remove B. Now what I have is single B left in the end. Is it a non-repeating character? Is it a substring with non-repeating character? Yes. But what is the length? Length is 1. right? And one is less than 3, so again no need to change. So it means now if you will see, there is no element after b, right? There is end. So everything, the loop that you will be using is over, right? And the length that you got in your variable, right, stored, that is 3. So it means out of the whole string, the length of the maximum substring without repeating character is 3, right? So it means we can assume, we can conclude that the longest substring, this is the explanation, you don't need to print the substring here because they haven't asked you that, but what they are saying is the longest substring without repeating character is abc, and the length is 3. So 3 is the final output that we have given. Okay. Now same is the second input. You can see here we have all the characters, that is b b b b b, right? So it will be kind of, we are not going to put a lot of time over here, but let's just go through it quickly. So what is going to happen, again this is your string, you'll start with the first character b, right? Again this is a substring, but without having repeating characters, so your length will become 1, right? Now after b you will try to add another b, right? But now you'll see that it is a repeating element, so you'll remove that b, the first b, and then again if you see, you have one substring that is non-repeating, but again the length is 1, so no need to change, or you can, if you want to change also, you can make it 1. Okay. And same thing is going to happen for this b, you will try to add another b, so it will again become b b, right? So again you will remove 1, and it is going to work in the same way, right? So in the end basically you will be getting the maximum length of the substring that is having with no repeating elements, that is 1. So you will be having 1 as your final output. Okay. Now is there any doubts in this particular question? Take input in list. See, this one, Rakshita, you were saying that, okay, you were saying is that we can take the elements, we can take the string into a list, and then we can store that, add the elements in the set, and then sets in the set that we'll be getting is going to store all the elements that are unique, and you can return the longest string. Obviously it would be the longest string. They have asked you for the substring, and you have to understand what is substring. They have already given you this thing, that what is substring. Substring is a contiguous sequence of characters within a string. So if I am saying that a, if this is my string, right, and if I have to find the largest substring, I cannot take it like I take a from here, then b from here, and maybe let's say, okay, let's assume there is d also in the end. Okay, let's assume there is d in the end. So you can't do it like a b c from here, and you can take d from here, and you say that a b c d is one of the substring. No, it is not. Substring is the contiguous element, so it means it should be in a like in a sequence, like one after another, right? I hope that is clear. Ma'am, is it like find list without duplicates? No, there is the difference. There is the difference. When in that question where you have to find the duplicates, or maybe you have to find all the non-duplicate elements from a list, that is different thing, because there they are not asking you for finding the contiguous elements, right? They're not asking you for sub list or something like that. But here they are asking you for substring, and substring means the contiguous sequence, right? So you cannot use set. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Sorry, not next one, my bad. Okay, so this is another sample input. Again, this is similar, so you can just go through it. You will be getting wke as the one of the substring that is having that is longest substring without repeating characters, and length is 3, right? Now let's quickly see what is the code for this. So here only one simple input was there, that is of string, and you have to simply print the length of it, right? So what you are doing is, you see, you're taking s is equals to input dot strip. Now here I will definitely recommend you for the strip function to use, right? Because it will help you if there is any extra spaces or something before and after the string, it will remove it, and it will give you a clean string, right? So once you got your string, what you have to do is you have to go to the function. Right here, you if you see in your print statement, we are calling the function length of longest substring, and we are passing the s, that is the string. So now what we are doing is, here we are taking char set, right? So what we are doing is, this set is going to be a lookup set only, that's it. Okay, so let's create one char set is equals to set. Now once that is done, what we have to do is, okay, there's one more thing which I want to explain you, that the concept that I explained you here is a sliding window concept. If any one of you have already got it, because this is the concept that is sliding window says, right? That is what sliding window says, right? So in sliding window, we will be having two pointers left and right to make our make the window variable, because window will be of variable size. We can extend it, we can shrink it accordingly, right? So whenever we are good with the conditions, we are okay that okay, substring is without repeating character, we are extended in, right? Because what we are doing is, we took a first, right? Then in a we added b, then in ab we added c. So what we are doing is, we are extending the window, right? Once we got the condition where we have repeating elements, we are doing what? We are shrinking it, right? We are shrinking it from the left side. So from right side, we generally extend the size of the window, and from the left side, we generally shrink the size of the window, right? And that is why we need to take one variable, that is left. So here we have initialized the left as 0, right? And we are taking one max length, where we will be storing whatever will be the maximum length that we will be getting at that moment. We are initializing it with 0 right now. Now once that is done, what I have to do is start for traversing inside the string, right? So you see, for right, now this right is actually a iterator variable that is going to showcase that how we are extending the size of the window one by one, right? So for right in range length of s, so in my first, and we are we are ranging in length of s and length of s. Okay, let's take the s here. Let's take this particular value here, right? pww kew. So we have string as pww kew. Let's assume this is my string. So what I have to do is, the maximum length that the length of this s is what? 6, right? So we are ranging in length of 6. So basically 0 to 5 we are going to range, right? So the first value for right in loop will be what? 0. Okay, now once that is done, here we have a while loop inside it. So while s of right in char set. Okay, so you see, this set is what? This is what I was saying, that is lookup, and or you can say it kind of as a window, right? The window that we are looking, where we were adding these values, like we take a, then we take ab, then we take abc, then we take abca. But because that is like in set a, the duplicates cannot be present, so we have to shrink that. So accordingly that is working, right? So that is the same thing. So now what we are doing is, while s of right in char set. So what we are doing here is s of right. Now s of right is what? P, right? Okay, so what we are checking is, what is my condition check here? That if s of right in char set is empty right now, right? It is empty. So if it is empty, we cannot, I mean, we can say that while loop is not going to run for this case. So first while loop is not going to work, right? That is for sure, because the condition is false. Now because the condition is false, so all these elements, all these lines are not going to work and will directly come to this particular line. What we are doing here is, in my char set, we are adding that particular value. So in my char set, what is going to happen? What is going to add? That is s of right. S of right is what? P. So P is going to be added inside the set. Now once that is done, we because we have already taken one of the character, so it means maximum length will be going to increase. So max length will become what? Maximum of current max length, comma, right minus left plus 1. Right minus left plus 1 is going to give you the size of the window that you are having currently. Right is what? Right is 0. Left is what? Left is also 0. So 0 minus 0 is 0, and plus 1 means 1. So the maximum length you are getting it from, either you can choose 0 or you can choose 1. So it will be 1. So we'll take 1 over here, right? Now once that is done, again what we are going to do is we are going to move to the second for loop. Now in second for loop, my right will move to the next element, that is 1. Now once that is done, again I'll go to the first while loop, right? And again what we are going to do is while s right in char set. So what we are doing is we are checking, is my s right, which is s of 1. S of 1 is what? W. Is my W in my char set? No, it is not. Because it is not, so it is safe to go with it, right? So what we have to do is we have to again skip the whole thing, because while loop condition is not still true. What we have to do is we have to add that s right inside my char set. So what is going to happen? W is going to be added inside my char set. Now once that is done, again my max len can increase. So max len is equals to maximum of 2 values. So max len will be maximum of 2 values. 2 values, one of them is the current max len, comma the right minus left plus 1. So right is 1, left is 0 plus 1. 1 minus 0 plus 1, that becomes 2. So we have to choose any of the maximum value out of it. So it becomes 2. So we get 2 over here, right? Now once that is done, again we have to move to the third for loop. In third for loop, my right value will be what? Right value will become 2. Okay. Okay. Now right value is 2. So what I have to do is I have to again check the while loop. Now again for while loop, the condition is my P of right. P of right is what? P of right is W again, right? P of 2 is W. Is my W in the char set? Yes. Now the condition is true. For while loop, the condition is true. It means now we are having the repeating element. So what we have to do is we have to remove that particular element from we have to remove the leftmost element from the particular window, that is char set. So what we are doing is char set dot remove s of left. Left is what? 0. So s of left is what? P. So it means we are trying to remove the first element, that is P, from our char set. So P is going to be removed. Okay, so we have W left in your char set. Now what we have to do is we have to like add 1 in my left, right? Because it means now every time we are not going to remove P, we have to move to the next element. So we have to add 1 inside my left. Now once that is done, again while loop condition will be checked, right? So the second while loop condition will run. Now again, is the condition true? Is my s of right? Right is 2. S of right is what? W. Is my W still in char set? Yes, it is still present. So again, this while loop is going to run. Now again, what we have to do is char set dot remove s of left. Now left is 1. S of left is what? S of 1 is what? W. So we have to remove the value W from our char set. Now once that is done, we have to we have to add 1 in my left, so left will become 2. Now once that is done, again we'll try the while loop again. Now right of 2, right is 2, s of 2 is what? W. Is my W present in char set? No, it is not, right? Now it is all safe. So what we can say, that this while loop will not run. So now we'll come to this particular line. Here we will be adding the s of right in my char set. So W is going to be added in here, right? And then again we will try to calculate the max len. Now max len will be what? Again we have two choices. Either we take the current one, that is 2 only, and second one is right minus left plus 1. Now right is 2, left is 2. So right minus left is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. So we have second option as 1, but maximum of these two is 2 only. So it will be updated with 2. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let's move to the next loop. I'm changing the color just in case if somebody is getting confused, right? So in fourth loop, I have to move to the next element. So next element is what? Right is equals to 3. Okay, now again for the first while loop, it is going to check, is my right of s of right. S of right is what? S of 3. S of 3 is what? K. Is my K present in char set? No, it is not. So no while loop is going to work. We'll simply add the value k inside my char set. So k will be added in here, and then we will be trying to calculate the max length. Now again, maximum of current value, which is 2, and right minus k, right minus left plus 1. So right is 3, left is 2, 3 minus 2 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 1. Sorry, 1 plus 1 is 2. So it will be 2 comma 2. So you will be having 2 again. So it will be updated with the new value 2. That's it. Now we'll move to the next for loop, that is fifth for loop, where my right will move to the new character, that is of 4. So again, we are going to check the while loop. So in while loop, again, is my e present in char set? No, it is not present. Now because it is not present, we can say that it is not present. So because it is not present, no need of while loop. We can simply add my e inside it, right? And we can update our max length value. So currently it is 2, and right now if I say it's 3 minus, oh no, sorry, my bad. The right value is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So it became 3. So maximum of the 2 is 3. So now my max length will become 3. Okay, now once that is done, we'll move to the sixth loop, where right will move to the next element, that is fifth element. Now again, while loop, the value is w. So is my w already present in char set? So that is what while loop is going to check, and because w is already present, while loop condition is true. Now because while loop condition is true, what I have to do is, in my char set, I have to remove s dot left, s of left. Left is what? 2. And what is s of 2? That is w, right? That is w. So w is going to be removed. Now once that is done, we have to add 1 in left, so left becomes 3. Okay, and now again the while loop condition will be checked. Okay, so again, s of right, s of right is 5. S of 5 is what? W. Is my w present in char set? No, it is not present, and because it is not present, no while loop is going to work. What we are going to do is, we are going to add this new w over here, right? And then we are going to find the max length. So again, maximum of previous value, that is 3, and the current is what? Right, which is 5 minus 3. 2 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, so this is like this. So maximum is 3 again. So my max length will move, like will have a new value 3. Okay, now once that is done, seventh loop is not present, so nothing is going to happen. So you can say, you're out of the whole for loop, everything is executed. Now the last line, that is return max length. Now max length is what? Max length is 3. So 3 is the answer that is going to be returned. Right, now you see here, we are not storing. See, this is a difference. This is something you can do it by yourself, that if you see that there is no, like there is one value, for example, the value that you're getting out of your function is exactly in the same way that you need to print. So what you can do is, whenever you're calling the function, you can call the function in your print statement only. So whatever will be written will be directly printed. But when you see that there is, especially when you are returning some kind of a collection, maybe a list or maybe a tuple will be very like it has very less chances that you will be returning tuple. But let's assume if you are returning, let's say, a list, right? So I'll prefer to store it in a variable and then print it in the next line. Okay, this is how you should do. I hope this is clear. Is there any doubts in this? If the question is clear, and if there is no doubt, you can just put the thumbs up, or you can just say yes. So I'll be getting to know that yes, it's clear. Okay, so I guess that is clear. Okay, I have few more questions. um let's have this one question, right? Like, I have one more question, that is merge overlapping intervals, but I guess okay, I guess we can cover that in the next lecture, right? In the next YouTube session that we will be having very soon. I see one question saying that instead of calculating max len, can we return the len of char set? See, in this particular solution that you got here, it is kind of, you can say, one of the ideal situations, that in char set, in the end, when you are especially ending your char set, when the whole for loop is completed, and in the end, the char set is exactly having 3 letters, right? But there could be a possibility. For example, if you see this one, right? If you see this one, all these elements that you're seeing here now, like starting from A, and you're in the end you will be only left with B, right? So you see, what you will be getting here is, if you are going to return the length of char set in the end, it will not be always correct, right? Because it depends on that particular last phase of that particular char set. Basically, it depends on the last window, but there could be a possibility na, that the maximum substring you got is somewhere in the between, or maybe somewhere in the starting only. So never return the length of char set, always have one max len variable and then return it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I guess let's move on to this one last question for the day, that is missing number in an array. Again, see, this is one of the question which is very easy, right? If you have general mathematic knowledge, it is very easy. And this is, like, I kept this question because I want to show you that in TCS the questions are something that is not exactly can be predictable, right? What you can do is, you can just practice the range of questions, easy to medium, or maybe some of the hard questions if you are already good in the medium level questions. But they can give you the easiest question as well, and they can give you one of the good level questions as well. So it can range anything, like it can range from anywhere from easy to medium, and sometimes it can be hard as well, right? So let's see this question. The question is missing a number in an array. So what you have to do is, you are given an array containing n distinct numbers, right? So you will be given with an array which consists of n distinct numbers taken from the range 0 to n. So they have already told you that the array that you will be having some n integers, right? And the values of the array will be somewhere from 0 to n only. Okay. So for example, let's assume that you are given with the size as 3. So the array elements that you will be having, only from the elements will be only ranging from 0 to 3 only. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And obviously, because the length is 3, so obviously one number will be missing, and you have to find that missing number. That's it. Okay. Now, since there are n plus 1 numbers in the range, right? Because if I am saying that the numbers are the numbers that you will be having in your array will be from 0 to n, and n is the size, so obviously you're having n plus 1 numbers in that particular range. So it means there will be exact one number that will be missing, right? And you have to find that only. So since there are n plus 1 numbers in the range and only n numbers in the array, exactly one number is going to be missing. Your task is to find and print the missing number. Okay. Input format, the first line contains an integer n, that represents the size of array, and the second line contains n space separated distinct integers that will be ranging from 0 to n. Okay. Now, output format, you have to simply print one missing number. The constraints are the size of the length, the size of the array could be anything from any, like, it could be any value, it could be anything from 1 to 10 raised to the power 5. And the array of I, the elements that you will be having will be ranging from 0 to n only. Okay. All the elements are distinct, means whatever the elements you will be having, they all will be unique. no repetitions will be there. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, that is missing number in an array. Okay, yeah, sorry, my bad. So let's move on to the sample input one. So you can see the size of the array is given as 3. It means the array must have all the numbers from 0 to 3. That is 0, 1, 2, 3. But the problem is the size would be 3 only. So there will be one number that will be missing. So you can see the array that is given to me is 3, 0 and 1. So there is exactly one number missing and I have to find that only. So range is from 0 to 3. So it should be 0, 1, 2, 3. 2 is missing from this particular list that is given to us. So you can say that 2 is the final answer. Same goes in the second sample input as well. You have 5 given to you and you are given with 0, 2, 0, 1, 2, 4, 5. So one number is missing, that is 3. So 3 will be the output. Now let's quickly see what the code is. Simple basic logic that we are applying in here is, do you guys remember that what is the formula for calculating the sum or for getting the sum of all numbers from all n integers? Anyone remember the formula to get the sum of n integers? Sum of n integers, what is the formula for sum of n integers if I want to find? Okay, so what we have to do is, what it is, it's n plus 1. Yes, I get some replies. I'm getting some replies. Good. So it's what? It's n plus 1 divided by 2, right? So if I'm saying that n is 5, right? If I'm saying n is 5, so all the elements from 0 to 5, if I add them, I'll be getting using this formula. Let's say if it will be what? It will be 5 multiplied by 6 divided by 2, which is 30 divided by 2, which is 15, right? This is what I should get if I add all the elements from 0 to 5, means 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, right? But now, so this should be the exact value that you should be getting. But now if you'll add all the elements from your given list, if you'll add all of the elements in your given list, what it is, it's 5 plus 4 9, 9 plus 1 10, and 10 plus 2 12, right? And 12 plus 0 will be 12 only. So you are getting 12, but what you should be getting, that is 15. So what I should do is, I should like subtract 15 and 12. So what I'll get is 3. So we can say that 3 is the missing number, right? We can say that 3 is a missing number because there is only exactly one number that is going to be missed, right? So 3 is the missing number, and now we can return that yes, 3 is the final output. Okay, and this is how the code is also working. So you guys were asking me, na, if you don't want to write the function, how the code will look like. This is how the code will look like. That, for example, you have to take the two inputs, that is of n as well as the array input, right? Once you have taken the input, your logical body comes over here where whole of the whole code comes here, right? And then last comes the printing statement, right? The last comes the printing statement. So what is going to happen, you created one variable that is expected sum, and in your expected sum, what you did is you find the sum of all the integers, right? That is using that formula n into n plus 1 divided by 2. And this is very important. Maybe some of the students know the formula, they know the logic, but they use wrong operators, right? So before going to the like test, I will prefer that it's I can agree with you that you already know basics, you already know what are the different types of operators, what they are used for. But sometimes in the pressure, when we are in that time limit and we have to do questions, and we have a lot of pressure in our mind, and we skip few things, and maybe some of you may use simple this kind of dividing operator, and it will be giving you wrong answer. and that will make more stress that I am using the same correct logic and why I am getting the wrong answer. So it is very important to revise even the basics before going to the test. Like I will prefer you should like revise all the operators, you should revise all the functions, already built in functions that you have for list, especially for few of them like list, string, right? These are the very basic ones. You will be like your array, string, all of the concepts are going to be depending on those type of functions. They can help you very much when you are doing the question, when you're writing the code, right? So that is what I will prefer you to revise all of the things, right? Now let's come back to this. So expected sum, you will use the formula. Now you will try to find the actual sum using the sum function of an on an array that you are already having. So for the sample input 2, right, this one, what you will get for expected sum, you will get 15, and for actual sum, you will get 12. Now what you have to simply return is, you have to simply return expected sum minus actual sum. So it will be 3. So you will get 3 printed on your screen, and that is what the correct answer is. Okay, I hope the question is clear and there is no doubt in this question. If there's anything that you don't understand, you can ask me. Soumya Mishra, you're saying that n into n plus 1 goes out of the given range of an array. See, I mean, if you're using it in your array, here we don't need to do anything with array. We just need to use the formula, that is n into n plus 1 divided by 2, and n will be your value, and you will be simply finding the value, right? You're not finding any element in an array, right? So that is not going to give you any kind of this case that getting out of the index range or something like that. Yeah, this one is also fine. That is L is equals to 3, 0, 1 for I in range 4. You are traversing from 0 to 4, and yeah, that is also fine. That is also fine. The one is given by gold masters. That is also fine. That is a brute force technique. But what is the problem is that can increase your complexities when you are having like very large arrays, right? So in that case, it will be inefficient. Else, it's fine. Okay. I guess that is clear. Okay, yeah, some of you are asking for DP questions. See, what I am doing is, initially I'm bringing the questions majorly on array strings and mathematical based, number based questions, because these are some of the topics that will definitely come your TCS exams, right? DP questions and the questions like greedy based. One that I am having here is that merge overlapping intervals. It is based on greedy approach, right? So I will be definitely bringing the videos on that as well. But the questions, the chances of those questions are going to be very less, right? Obviously, it can come. I will not say that it will not come, but chances are very less. And the chances of array strings, linked list, maybe these type of questions they comes more often. Soumya, see, what I am saying is the thing that you're doing here, n into n plus 1 divided by 2, you're not using somewhere in your list, right? If you're going to use somewhere in the list, obviously the list is consisting of 5 elements, and you're, let's say if you're doing, if you're trying to find this in your list, that is the 15, you will be getting an error, that is index out of range error. but right now we are not using it in a list, so definitely that is not going to give you an error. You must be using it last time in some like array or something, that is why you must be getting an error. Okay. I hope that is clear. Okay, somebody is asking for the list if list is 0 comma 1. I mean, okay, let's have a look on that as well, because see, these are the things which comes in which comes in edge cases. So let's go through it if you have some doubts in it. So if you have 0 comma 1, right? So let's assume like that. Okay, see, let's assume it like that. N is given as 1. Okay, n is given as 1, and the list you will be having, maybe it can be either having 0 or maybe it can be having the value 1, right? Right, if this is the case, I mean, only these two are the only possible cases for n is equals to 1, right? So what is going to happen, you are going to again get the expected sum. So expected sum is what, n into n plus 1. So n is what, n is 1, so 1 into 2 upon 2, which is going to return you 1, right? Which is going to return you 1. So what is going to happen, because you are having what, let's assume if you are having array, like in your array you already have 0, right? So your expected sum is what, your expected sum is 1, and your actual sum, when you will be finding sum of all the elements in your array, it will be what, it will be 0, right? Now because it will be 0, so again when you will subtract the both the elements, that is 1 minus 0, you will get 1. So it means what you will be printing, you will be printing 1 in this case, because 1 is missing. But if you are having array is equals to 1, so in that case what is going to happen, your expected is 1, and your sum, your actual array, your actual sum is also 1. When you will subtract 1 minus 1, you will be getting 0, and because you are printing 0, so it means 0 is the element that is missing. I hope that is clear. Yes. Okay, I guess that is it. Any other questions? Okay, till then, if anyone wants to ask any other question, you can. And before that, I just want to bring this thing to you guys in your knowledge, right? That is, we are having our TCS crash course, right? And you can actually go through it if you want to, right? If you are actually eager to learn and practice more about these things, especially for TCS NQT, you can go through the link. This is the link that is given to you on the screen, and there you will be finding one very important thing, that is DSA white book. So DSA white book is a kind of very precious book, you can say, for you, because it is going to have all the topics covered. So if it is taking input in TCS exams, and then all the data structures like array, strings, sliding window approach, linked list, majorly all the topics that comes more often in TCS exams, this is what we are having in this white book. You will be getting many practice questions, the questions that maybe have come in from the previous years, right? And you will be having questions, you will be having codes in all the languages, you will be having solution, right? So everything that you need to practice, you will be having in this in your DSA white book. And where you will be getting this DSA white book is in this particular TCS NQT crash course. So I just want to make you all aware of that. So if any one of you is interested, you can definitely check that out. Template, like how we need to write the code in TCS NQT. I mean, from taking input to taking function to give output, and how to run test cases as a complete. Okay, Soumya Mishra, I'll try to bring this very soon. Okay, because you are requesting it. So I'll try to bring it, right? And yeah, you will be getting it in the same channel. Okay, so we will be having a new lecture very soon, right? it could be a live session as well as maybe it could be a recorded lecture, but definitely we will be bringing more questions to you where we will be solving more questions in Python only. And yeah. Okay, many of you are saying for one more question. Okay, fine, fine. Because many of you are requesting for one more question. So let's do this last question for the day. Yeah. So again, this question is again very good and actually nice. Especially you want to understand greedy approach and everything, right? Okay. So let's try to understand what this question says, right? So the question is merge overlapping intervals. Okay. So you will be having some kind of intervals and you have to merge all the overlapping intervals. Okay. Now, okay. Now let's do one thing. Let's try to read the problem statement. Okay. Now what is the problem statement? You are given an array of intervals where intervals of I is equals to start and an end. Okay, start and end. So what you are given with, you will be having an array. Okay. And in your array, you will be having intervals, and each interval will be in what formation? It will be having start and it will be having end, right? Okay. So we will be having start and we will be having end, and every interval is going to be in the same way, right? Like S1 E1, you can name like represent it in that way: S1 E1, S2 E2, then S3 E3, right? And this is how it is going to run, like it is how it is going to happen for Sn En, right? So I guess that is clear. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, that is input format. So in input format, we have two things. Okay, my bad, we have skipped. Okay, your task is to merge all overlapping intervals. So what is your task? You will be having all the intervals. You have to merge all the overlapping intervals, and you have to return a list of non-overlapping intervals that cover all intervals in the input. So what you have to do is um, you have to return the list only, list of the intervals, but whatever are the overlapping intervals given to you in the input, that should be all merged and present in the output list. Okay. Now first line contains integer n representing the number of intervals. Okay, so n represents what? N represents n represents intervals, the number of intervals that you are having, right? And what is next line? Next n lines contains two space separated integers, start end, representing each interval. Now see, this will be kind of interesting because we have already seen how to take the input of space separated array. We have already seen that how to take the input of space separated integers, but here what we are going to have is, for n number of times we are going to take the space separated integers. Okay. So what we have to print as an output format, we have to print the merged interval one per line, and each line should contain two space separated integer representing the merged interval. So let's see how the sample input 1 and sample input 2 sample output 1 looks like. So you can see the first element that you are having is 4. 4 is what? 4 represents the size of array, right? 4 represents the size of array. And what are the other elements? These are what? These are actually the intervals. So this is your first interval, this is your second interval, this is your third interval, and this is your fourth interval, right? And you have to take the input of all of them, and they are all gonna be stored something like this. Maybe you can create a tuple of them or list of them, we'll see accordingly, right? But this is how they all should be stored. So this is our main objective. Now once that is done, the whole logic is going to be created, and after that the output that you will be giving, all the intervals should be in the same way. Like 1 6 means this is the first interval of the list that you have created, okay? Then second is 8 10, then is 15 18, and you have to make sure that you are not skipping any of the intervals, right? You just have to merge the overlapping ones. I hope the question is clear. Just let me know if the question is clear. Yeah. Now what the constants are? Constants are the size of the array will be somewhere from 1 to 10 raised to the power 5. The starting and the ending numbers that you will be getting anything from 10 negative 10 raised to the power 9 to 10 raised to the power 9, and start will always be less than and maybe equals to end. Okay. So start will never be greater than end. That is given to you. Okay. So now if you see in this particular scenario, if you see in this particular scenario, 4 is the um, length of an array given to you, and in this length of array, 4 intervals kind of are given to you, that is 1 comma 3, 2 comma 6, then you are given with 8 comma 10, and the fourth input is, the fourth interval is 15 comma 18. Okay, so this is your whole array of the intervals. Now what you have to do is, you have to merge all the overlapping intervals. Now to merge all the overlapping intervals, I would suggest the first thing that you should do is sorting this particular list or sorting this particular array. And with which character, because there are two numbers in every element. This is your first element, this is your second element, right? And so on, you have third element and fourth element, right? So in each element you have two numbers, right? Starting and ending. So on which basis, on what you have to sort? You have to sort on the basis of starting number, right? So whatever is your starting number, on that basis you should first sort of all of them. Once you sort all of them, what is going to happen? The very first interval will come on the first element, first position. The second interval will come on the second, then third, fourth, fifth, and so on, right? But there could be one more possibility. If they already given you in the question that the interval list is already sorted, then you have to skip this part, okay? Because they haven't given you, so you cannot be sure that the array of intervals are sorted or not, right? So it's better that you sort them. Once you sort them, what you have to do is, right now if you see the list that I am having right now, is all of them, like all of them are sorted, right? So basically what you have to do is, see, someone is saying to explain this thing again. So what you have to do is, I guess the question is clear. You have to simply merge the overlapping intervals. Okay, now what are the overlapping intervals and how we are merging it, I will be explaining it when I will be dry running it. Okay, right, like when I will be explaining on over here, right? This other thing that you have to explain understand is that how input and output format is, because input and output format is a little different here. Okay. Okay, so why 1 comma 3 and 2 comma 6 are the overlapping intervals, I'll be explaining you. Just give me a few more minutes, right? So first what you have to do is, first you have to sort them. Once you have sorted them, you have some list, something like this, right? So it is already sorted, so I'm assuming that yes, I have sorted it. Now once it is done, what I have to check is, overlapping means what? Okay, let's assume it with a very fun thing, that for example you have one day, right? And you have, let's say, three new movies are scheduled on that day, and you actually want to go to cinema and want to watch all of the movies, right? Now what is happening, let's assume all of the three movies are of 3 3 hours, let's assume, Okay, so or let's take it as, yeah, let's assume that it is of 3 hours. So what is going to happen, let's say the first movie, the show that you're having is from, let's say, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Okay, let's assume it is from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Okay, but your second movie that you want to watch is having the show time of 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Or let's take, okay, I'm like, let's not consider that length of the movie, but we can say that, okay, the first movie was for 3 hours, 3 hours or 2 hours only, actually 2 hours, and the second movie is for 4 hours. Okay, let's assume like that. So the second movie is from basically 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So what is happening, this is clashing now, this is overlapping. You have to watch the first movie show that is from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and the second one is going to start from second 2 p.m. and it is going to run till 6 p.m. So this is what is overlapping. And how we are finding overlapping thing, what is the condition, how we are checking it is, if the two intervals are overlapping, we need to check the ending of the first interval, and we have to check the starting of the second interval. Okay, if my starting of the second interval is less than the ending of the first interval, it means the two intervals are clashing, means they are overlapping. And because they are overlapping, what we have to do, we have to merge them. Okay, okay, yeah. Okay, so what we have to do is, it means we have to merge these, means these two are overlapping. Now how to merge them? Simple. You take the starting time of the first one, you take the end time of the second one, and it will be merged. So you'll take 1 comma 6 and you can say that yes, now 1 comma 3 and 2 comma 6 that was overlapping, now it is merged to 1 comma 6. Okay, it means that there is only one thing that you can do from 1 to 6. Now it's up to you, you watch either movie 1 or movie 2, kind of thing, right? Don't take it kind of seriously or something like that. That is what I take as an example, just to make you understand that how overlapping you can like understand that thing. Okay, now once that is done, what is the second, now we get 1 comma 6, now we have 8 comma 10, and we have 15 comma 18. Now let's assume, now we have the first two intervals, let's say these two. Now again we have to check, are the two overlapping or not. So you see the starting of the second one and the ending of the first one, 8 is greater than 6, so that is all good. If you have one show from 1 to 6 and you have second show from 8 to 10, so you are all good, there is nothing that is clashing. So it means there is no merging required here, so you will leave it as it is. Now once that is done, you will mainly focus on this one and this one. So first show you have it from 8 to 10 p.m. and the second show, let's say, let's not go to that 24-hour thing. Okay, let's assume that the next show that you are having is 15 p.m., like 15 to 18, right? So in that case, what is going to happen? Again, 15 is not clashing with your previous time, that is 8 to 10, right? So it means again they are not overlapping, and because they are not overlapping, it means there is no merging required. So what are the three intervals in the end that you are getting which are not overlapping, and it is having all the intervals that you are having in your input? So it is 1 6 8 10 15 18, right? So the output that you will be printing is in the same format, that is 1 6 8 10 15 18. Got it? I guess now there is no doubt for this particular thing. And let's now quickly move to the coding part. If there is anyone who wants to ask anything for that, you can ask me. Okay. So let's try to understand this thing now. Okay. So let's have this. Now, what we are doing here is, okay, here we are taking all the inputs. So first of all, let's focus on that how we are taking the inputs, because it is a little different. Okay, so input is in the format. Let me just quickly have it. Let me quickly write whatever the inputs are here. So let's have this let's have that one only. So you were having 4 as the first input, that is the size of an array, right? So n is equals to int input. Again, strip is optional. If you want to keep it, you can take it, else you can do it like n is equals to int input. That's it. Okay, so 4 will be stored in here. Now what you have to do is, now if you remember, you were taking inputs, like if there are 4 elements in an array, all the 4 elements are in different lines, right? All the 4 elements are in different line, and for each line they are like in that particular one list, that is starting and ending, right? So what is how you are going to do is, you let's create one empty list that is of intervals, right? And now what you are doing is, for I in range n, because there are 4 inputs you have to take in 4 different lines. Okay, so what you are going to do is, and in each line, in each input, in each line, what you're taking is, you're taking 2 inputs, right? So it is something very same to like, the first is 1 and 3, right? Now if you want to take the input of 1 and 3 and you want to store it in 2 variables, how would you do that? You will be doing it like s comma e, taking 2 variables, you'll map them as int in int data type input dot split. So first 1 comma 1 and 3 will be split into 2 of the entities. So 1 and 3, now both of them are going to become in integer format. So 1 is a number, 3 is a number. 1 is going to map with s and 3 is going to map with e. Okay, so in the first loop, so that is what you just put it in a loop, because you are having it for 4 times, right? You are having one as 1 3, you are having second one as 2 6, you are having third one as 8 10, and you are having fourth one as 15 18, right? You are having 4 times, right? So you have to take it in loop. So that is done. Now you took the first one, that is 1 comma 3, and in s comma e 1 comma 3 is stored. Now what you have to do is, in your intervals list that you have created over here, you have to store it inside it. Okay, intervals, yes. Now you want to store the whole interval into a list format again. So what you are doing is, intervals dot append, and the values you see s comma e, you are putting it in another list, right? And you are appending that list inside the intervals list. So basically 1 comma 3 is going to be appended like this, right? Now once the first loop is done, you'll move to the second loop. Second loop, you will be taking input of 2 space 6. Again 2 is going to map with s, e is 6 is going to map with e, right? So what is going to happen, the next interval will be stored as 2 comma 6, right? Now next we have is 8 comma 10. So in next loop you will have 8 comma 10, and in next loop you will have 15 comma 18. Okay, I hope that is clear. Input is clear. Now once that is done, what you have to do is, all the for loops are done. You have to, now you have your interval now, so you can start working on. So now what you have to do is, you have to call the function. So result is equals to merged intervals. Okay, so you're passing your intervals whole list in your merge intervals function. Okay, so let's come to the function again. So let's see how we are working on the function. So you see the first line, the first condition is that if not intervals. This is kind of, you can say, is base case, that okay, if there is no value, if there is nothing stored inside your intervals, what you have to do. So if that is the case, you can simply return an empty list, right? Because there is nothing, so why to implement the whole thing, right? So this is kind of the base case. But right now the case that we have is not following that thing, so we have to move ahead, right? So it is 1 comma 3, 2 comma 6, then you have 8 comma 10, and then I guess you have 15 comma 18, right? So now once that is done, what you have to do is, as I already told you, the first step is to sort the intervals by the start time. So you can see the step 1 is sort intervals by start time. So what you are doing is, intervals dot sort. So everything is going to sort automatically by the first value, that is 1, like the starting time. Okay, so once you will sort your interval, you will be having that sorted, but right now it is already sorted. So I can assume that this, the one intervals that I am having right now, is sorted one only. Okay, now I have to take one new list, that is merged list, and this is the list where we are going to store all the merged intervals, right? So let's create one merged list. Okay, now once that is done, what we have to do is we have to start with the first interval. So in my start and in my end, what I'm doing is I'm storing intervals of 0. Now intervals of 0 means I'm talking about first element, that is 1 comma 3. So 1 is going to store inside s, and I'm taking s and e characters, right? So s is going to store 1 and e is going to store 3. Okay, now once that is done, we are starting with the for loop, right? Because that is a very normal, as I already told you. First 1 and 3 is going to be taken, and with that we are going to compare it with 2 comma 6, right? And this is how it is going to happen. Okay, so now if you see for I in range, when you are starting the range, you're starting from 1, because 0 is something that you have already taken, and it will go till length of intervals. So length of intervals right now is 4. So you will be going from 1 comma 4, but actually it is from 1 to 3, right? So there will be 3 loops that is going to work. So let's start with the first loop, where I will be what? I will be 1. Now current start and current end. So we will be going to take current start and current end, which I am writing as CS and CE. So CS is what? Intervals of I. So we are talking about intervals of 1. So means 2 comma 6. So current start is going to be 2 and current end is going to be 6. Okay, now we have to check if they are overlapping or not. So what you have to do is you have to check the condition. If current start is less than end, see, I already told you two things you need to consider in your conditions: this element and this element, right? So now what we are doing is current start, which is 2, is it less than equals to the end? End is what? End was 3. So is the condition true? Yes, the condition is true. Because the condition is true, what I have to do is my end is going to take one of the values, maximum of end or the current end, right? Because end is going to be what? End, if we are merging two of the elements, right? Because there could be one more possibility, that right now you're having 1 comma 3. Let's assume you are having 1 comma 3, but let's assume if you have something like 1 comma 7 and 2 comma 6. So in that case, if you're merging the two, because we can see that the two are overlapping, but if you want to merge it, you cannot take 1 comma 6, then you are skipping that interval 7, right? So you have to take the maximum end, right? So you have to compare the two ends, the current end as well as the previous end, right? So that is why in the end, when we are updating this end value, we are taking the max of the two ends. Okay, so end will be what? End will be the max of two values, that is current, that is the previous end, which is 3, and the current end, that is 6. So it is 6 right now, so end will be 6. Now once that is done, else condition is not going to work. Now what is going to happen? Again, we'll move to the next for loop, right? We'll move to the next for loop. Yeah, is there anything that you want to ask? Okay, now once that is done, what you have to do is, everything is completed. You have checked the overlapping condition, and because the things were overlapping there, so what you did is you um, uh, like merged them, right? Once you have merged them, what you have to do is you have to move to the next element, right? You have to move to the next element. So now what you can say is that s is 1 and n is what? 6, right? So s is 1 and e is what? 6. Now we'll move to the second for loop. Now in second for loop, you will be having I is equals to 2, right? Now again, you will be taking current s, that is current starting, and you will be taking current end. So you will be focusing on 8 comma 10, so it will be 8 and 10. Okay, now again you have to compare it with the last interval that you had, that is 1 and 6, right? Now what you have to do is, again you have to compare 8 and 6. So is my 8 less than equals to 6? No, the condition is false. Now because the condition is false, we will go to this else, and what we are going to do, we are going to merge, we are going to append inside merge what? That is start comma end. So it means this 1 6 is now fixed. there is no overlapping that we need to merge anything else to this particular interval, right? This is what we got. So now once we are sure that okay, 1 comma 6 is one single interval and nothing needs to be merged in this one, so now we can add it in merged. Now once that is done, what is going to happen? Now S will become the current one, that is 8, and E will become the current end, that is 10. Okay. Now once that is done, we'll move to the third loop. Now once we'll move to the third loop, I is equals to 3, which is about 15 comma 18. So current start will become 15 and current end will become 18. Now once that is done, what you have to do is again compare 15 with the last end. So 15, is 15 less than equals to 10? No, the condition is false. Now because the condition is false, it means 8 comma 10 which you are having previously is fixed. You don't have to merge anything. So you'll go in your else condition and there you will add another list, that is 10, 8 comma 10. Okay, now once that is done, now your current start will become 15 and I mean your start will become your current start, so S will become 15 and E will become 18. Okay, now once that is done, now once that is done, what you have to do, you have to move to the fourth loop, but there is no fourth loop. So what you have to do, you will come over here in your merged, you will add your last interval. So the last interval that you are having is 15 comma 18, so 15 comma 18 is going to be added in here and it is done. Okay, it is done. Now once it is done, you have to return merged. So this value, this list that we have created, the merged list, is going to be completed, returned. Okay, so you will be returning 1 comma 6, 8 comma 10 and 15 comma 18, but you see it is not in a format, in the same format that output is needed to be in, right? So what you are doing is, you see whatever you are returning, you're getting stored it in result, right? So what you are doing is 1 comma 6, 8 comma 10 and 15 comma 18 is returned. 15 comma 18 is written. Now once this is done, what you have to do is you have to make it in the same format. So how you will be doing it? Again, you can simply for loop, and in each loop you will be printing S and A with the space. That's it, right? So for S comma E in result, so you will be traversing inside this result. In first loop you will be having 1 comma 6. So in your output, what you are printing? You are printing 1 comma 6. So when you print 1 comma 6, I mean not comma in as actual, this comma is going to bring a space in between, right? When you have two variables S comma E, the values that are going to be printed have a separation of space. The comma brings the space. So what is going to happen? You will be having yeah, you will be having what? You will be having 1 and 6 printed. So 1 space 6 will get printed. In second loop, you will be having 8 comma 10. So 8 and 10 is going to be printed. In third loop, you have 15 comma 18. So you have 15 and 18 printed. Okay, so this is your output, how it will look like. I hope that is clear. Yes, it is also one of the good questions. You see, what I say is, someone I see was asking that are these questions exactly are these questions going to come exactly in the TCS exams, or they have come in the past as well? See, questions directly can never come in TCS. They always give you in a situation type, right? So maybe they are going to give you same question that is of intervals, but in a some, but putting in some another situation, right? Maybe they will be using the movie situation or some another kind of situation in intervals. So these questions are not like, these questions are just for your concept, right? This can help you to build the concepts, but yeah, I mean, you cannot have the same questions, right? Okay, I hope that is clear, and now we can end the session for today, right? Is there anything anyone wants to ask? Okay, then let's keep it this much for today. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.